25-minute lesson. I get to do it in 7, so I'm going to really rush, and I apologize, but work with me. I think you guys can do it. So this today is about how to write a raft. I know that the lit strategy is RAP, rephrase, answer, and provide details. That can get a student on a constructed response almost to proficient. But that actually is not what we need on our TCAPs. So what I've added in, a la Nancy Dean, is this piece of connecting your thinking for every detail that you provide. So I now call this wrapped in my class. And usually when I teach this introductory lesson, I start out by just showing them a picture. And I ask them in the shared inquiry model to just think about what they see. And I'd probably have them at this point do a pair share so that they could talk to their neighbor, but we don't have time for that. We're moving in. Then I ask them some very directed questions. Name 3 things in this picture that are white. Can you name 3 things?
The umbrella.
The umbrellas, the tablecloths, and the sailboat.
That's awesome. Could you do it like a rap, so you rephrase and answer the question and then provide those 3 details for me?
3 things in this picture that are white are the umbrellas, the tablecloths, and the sailboat.
That's fabulous. And that's an RAP. You've rephrased, you've answered, and you've provided details. Sometimes kids like to add to the end of that something like, I know that it's white because in kindergarten I learned what white looks like. Which is a rather inane thing, and I'm not sure it actually does us any favors. So, or I see white in the picture. Those don't help. And so when we talk about connecting the thinking, that is not what we're talking about. That's a good RAP question. Or answer. Notice that that first one is a very low Bloom's taxonomy question. Tell me what's there. If we move up into Bloom's taxonomy, that's when we need to start thinking about how they're thinking, and they have to show us how they're thinking. So here, what does this painting depict? Now they have to not just look at the things that are there, but make an assumption about it. So, what do you think that this painting might depict? Who wants to try, Mike? You know this lesson.
I think this painting was depicting a restaurant overlooking a body of water that is popular with tourists because there are tablecloths and tables set up for food, and also there are lots of sailboats out in the water, leading me to believe that there are people out in the water on the shore.
You're a flippin' rock star. That was awesome. So, notice that this would be the wrong answer. It's not at all what Mike gave. This painting is probably a restaurant. I think this because the sign says ristorante and there are tables. I don't understand why the ristorante or the tables makes you think at all that this is a restaurant. There's no explanation for me there, and we have to assume that the people who are scoring the TCAPs are idiots, and we need to speak slowly for them. I don't want to say that. Okay. It was their second job after Subway. All right, this painting depicts an outdoor restaurant. So this is closer to Mike's answer. Notice I've used some transitions. One thing I noticed is that there are several tables. That shows my first detail. And now I connect it with this makes me think it's probably not someone's house. Also, there's another transition. The sign says ristorante. And this seems like the word restaurant, but in another language. So now I've given 2 details and I've explained my thinking on both of them. We can even go deeper. Notice here it doesn't say give 3 details or provide an answer in RAPT. But we know that it's asking us to think about what's there instead of just tell us what's there. That means that the writer or the reader of the test wants us to always answer with the magical number. Does anybody know the magical number?
3.
Yes, 3 is the magical number. Yes. You watched Schoolhouse Rock, you remember that. So this painting probably takes place, we're going to answer it with 3 details, and we're going to connect thinking after each one by using transitions. So this painting probably shows a restaurant on the Mediterranean Sea. Notice I don't jump into because. I end the sentence right there. And then I go into my reasons. So now my first reason is, I notice the foreign word ristorante, again, no end quote, I don't know what I was thinking. That makes me think, there's my connection. It is in Italy or France, which both have fairly long Mediterranean coastlines. Also, there's several tables, suggesting it is a restaurant and not just a house. Finally, There's a far horizon and several sailboats on the water, making me think it is a sea instead of a lake. Now, those of you who are really astute also recognize that this is the bare bones foundation for an expository paragraph. And that's where we need to get these kids. If if they don't know how to write a good expository paragraph by high school, they're sunk. That puts them a whole year behind. So this foundation can move us into getting to paragraphs by the end of first semester for our 7th graders. Now you try. So I give them a picture. And along with that picture, I give them a little template. And the template is something that I use all year long as an accommodation for any of my special needs students who can't actually put together, who need sentence starters, who need help. And hopefully we can nudge them beyond this. I nudge my mainstream kids beyond this within a week. So again, I have them look at the picture and think about what they see, and then I give them some specific guiding questions that are going to help them pull out the details that they need. I would probably use a thinking map with this or some kind of a graphic organizer, and think it doesn't have to be about a wedding picture all the time. As we get further into this, they can be pulling out arguments from an analytical paper. They can be pulling out facts from an informative paper. They can be pulling out all kinds of details, the findings from a scientific experiment. So I asked them first, what color are the women's dresses in the picture? And I'm afraid I'm going to run out of time, Melissa, but go ahead and answer that.
The women's dresses in the picture are white. One is white and the others are blue.
Very good. Nice wrap answer. Very good. You gave me 2 details. And then I asked them to notice some stuff about the ties. So what do you notice about the ties, Jimmy?
One is white and one is blue. The other ones are blue.
Okay, one is white, the others are blue. Anything about the style?
I can't see very well.
Oh, you can't see very well? Okay,
It
they're
looks
long
like
ties,
they're
they're
the
not bow
same.
ties.
Okay,
Yeah,
they're long ties.
They're long ties, not bow ties. Okay, good. And then, because I always want to encourage them to think on their own too, I asked them to pull out some other things, because I don't have to have all the right answers. They can find some things I didn't notice. Trip, do you notice anything that we didn't mention?
One of the things I noticed in this picture is that the people are happy, smiling, and look like they're really enjoying the event.
Very nice. What else? Linda?
I noticed that the women are all carrying bouquets of flowers and the men all hiding in sashes.
Very nice. And now that leads us to the last question. What's probably happening in this picture? And again, I'm telling them here, we're going to support our answer with 3 details. We're going to use the wrapped. That won't always be the case as the year goes on, but it's a good place to start for them. Now let's use our template. Rephrase and answer the question. What's probably happening in this picture? You may have to use some substitute verbs if you want to turn it around. What does it seem like is happening in this picture? Mike, you want to try?
I think the event that is happening in this picture is that there has just been a wedding.
Period. Very good. He did not go into his reasons at all. He rephrased his question, and he gave me the answer. Now we're going to move on to our details. What's one reason, go ahead and look at your paper that's in front of you. What's one reason that makes you believe this? Is that what it says? One reason I think this is because. What's one, Trip?
The female that's in the center of the picture with the biggest bouquet is wearing a white dress, which reminds me of a wedding dress.
Very good. And you went right to the next sentence, so which is fine. You said, which reminds me of a wedding dress. Or this makes me think it's a wedding dress. Okay, or this makes me think of my cousin Nina when she got married because her dress was white. Whatever it is that they've added there for their connected thinking. And then we move on to the next sentence starter. I won't call on you, Janelle, because you've got the camera. Melissa?
Another reason this is probably true is because all of the men are wearing suits.
This makes you believe what?
And this makes me believe that this is a wedding. See, this is where I get lost.
This makes me think, what do you know about suits and weddings? This makes me think.
This makes me think that this is where I
So have you been to a wedding?
Let's change the connection. Let's change the connector. So why do suits make you think it's a wedding?
because men wear suits at weddings.
I know that men wear suits at weddings.
Okay.
Now you've made your connection. Very good. And you know what? They're going to have to do that. They're going to have to morph their connectors. But it is helpful to remind them, use that connection. Tell me what it makes you think. They can use their own wording.
You see, this is like different than we originally, the rap
Yes, it is.
originally
It is.
introduced to us.
Absolutely. But this is how we nudge them into the higher scores.